PK in the universe, and I'm here to tell you I don't have the answer to all your problems. I really don't. But I can tell you what doesn't work for me as a retro gaming YouTuber. So I'm going to tell you guys about that. So here we go. First up, let's talk about intros. I just did an intro there, obviously, of some sort. I introduced myself. I told you guys who I was, told you what I can't do, but what I can tell you doesn't work. That's an intro. How long, but what about an actual, video intro? A lot of people do these video intros, where it's, it's a bunch of clips and things like that. And I used to tell people, hey, you should do maybe like a 10-second intro, at the most, maybe even less. Honestly, you shouldn't do intros at all. I mean, you should introduce yourself like I did. I introduced, like I said, hey, I'm PK, and this is what I'm going to do. But what you shouldn't do is do a little 10-second intro video. Maybe a very short one after like a cold opening or something. Cold openings can be really challenging to do, but yeah, you only have 8 seconds to convince people to watch your video. I had 8 seconds to get some of you people, and some of you people probably clicked off before that, which is fine. I didn't get you, but that's what you have. You have 8 seconds. They've done studies. I can't remember what the studies are, and I'm not going to bother to look them up, but people have done studies that say basically you have 8 seconds to convince people because people's attention spans are declining. That's just how things are, especially with viewers. And yeah, so you got 8 seconds. So having a 10-second intro video, not helpful. That's just my opinion. And again, based on what I've researched and, bad advice I've given. I've given the advice. So yeah, it's fun to do a 10-second intro. No, don't do that. Now, as you guys know, I'm a retro gamer. Retro gaming is my niche. That's what I do. I've always done that. Even when I've changed my name, retro gaming has always been my niche. And one thing that was a big staple, I guess, of my early time on YouTube is I'd have a big old wall of games in the background. You do not need a wall of games to be a retro gaming YouTuber. You don't. It's silly, honestly, and ridiculous. You don't actually need a bunch of games for people to take you seriously as a YouTuber because you're a person who's in front of a camera and you're telling people something. And somehow, for some reason, the YouTube algorithm recommended your video to somebody and they clicked on it. People aren't going to click off your video because you don't have a freaking wall of games. Like this dresser behind me, filled with games. I have a dresser to the side of me, also has games. People don't really need to see your games, honestly. These perlers behind me, I actually made myself. Actually, every perler you see behind me, I made myself. The TV I obviously bought, and there's a couple of game systems and stuff there, but this is, you don't need a lot of stuff. Okay, people are here to watch you. They're here to listen to what you have to say. And maybe what you say, they like it. Maybe they don't. But at the end of the day, they're not clicking off your video because you didn't have a freaking huge wall of games. There's so many people, it's like they think their collection is a substitute for a personality. And it's not, honestly. It will get you far, but it will not get you to the top. It will not get you where you really want to go. At the end of the day, people want to listen to what you have to say, and they want to listen to you because hopefully you're a passionate person. You're passionate about what you're talking about. A collection will only take you so far. It will only take you so far. It will not take you to where you really want to go because you need more than that. And there's so many different things. And you, the person who's watching this video, who might be a YouTuber, you have different strengths. And it's important to figure out what those strengths are and play to those strengths. The wall of games will not save you. I'm just telling you what I feel because I personally have seen people say, oh yeah, you need a lot of games in the background. No, that doesn't work. That's my opinion, and it doesn't work. It hasn't made any difference. Me actually taking the wall of games out of the background has probably actually helped the channel more than anything. I can't prove that, but I have noticed I know correlation doesn't equal causation, but yeah, I don't think the wall of games is what's getting people to watch my videos. I just don't, based on my experience. Now, here's a piece of advice I've given to other people. Start a second channel. Starting a second channel is a terrible idea in most cases. Most cases, a second channel is not really needed or necessary. It just depends on why you would start a second channel. For example, if you're making a gaming channel, like this is a retro gaming channel, this is about retro gamers. This video is specifically made for the niche of retro gamers who happen to be YouTubers. That's why I made this video, and I wanted to give out my feelings about how I feel about this. So I got a channel about retro gaming. Okay, in general, my channel is a gaming channel. So if I venture into modern stuff, I think there is overlap between these audiences. These are not dramatically different audiences. Now, some people might never watch it, but then there's some people who are like, oh, we will. It's okay to cultivate a different audience or an audience that has overlap with an existing audience. That is okay to do. For example, there's a YouTuber, Sega Lord X. He mostly covers Sega stuff, whether it's Sega Genesis, Mega Drive, of course, which is the same thing, Saturn, Dreamcast, etc. He covers all that Sega stuff. But he's also ventured into stuff like Super NES and other things like that. That's okay because a lot of the people who like Sega stuff also like that other stuff, and the other stuff has gotten a lot of views. If he had just decided to stay with Sega only, he would have missed out on a lot of opportunity for views and engagement, and people maybe came for the Super NES stuff and then stayed for the Sega stuff. You don't know. For example, let's say I had a channel that was focused on maybe Ford cars, or that's what I started at. I started about talking about Ford cars, and now I want to talk about Chevys. You don't go make a second Chevy channel. You're a car channel, okay? There's people who maybe appreciate Chevrolets just as much as they appreciate Fords. But I mean, yes, there's obvious the rivalry or whatever. But my point is, you don't need to make a second channel, okay, to talk about video games. In fact, running a second channel is exhausting. I say this as somebody who's had a second channel, deleted it, started it over again, deleted it. It's exhausting to start a second channel. And it can become, the whole serving two masters kind of thing. And you don't want to serve two masters because you're not doing justice to any of them. If you're so focused on the second channel, you're not maybe just focused on the first channel as you could be focused on. So starting a second channel, I feel like, if you're going to start a totally different topic, like if you're a car channel or whatever, and you decide, I want to show people how to do pottery, sculpting and stuff. Obviously, it makes sense to start a second channel for that. It makes sense to do that. Or if you're some really big YouTuber and you're just like, I need a second channel where I can just totally BS and just talk about whatever nonsense I want. Or start a podcast. Maybe you're going to totally do a complete, just a podcast channel. Because sometimes podcasts I can see are almost a different animal because it's a huge long form content, and maybe you make videos that are typically 20-30 minutes long, and maybe people don't want to see your 3-hour music video game podcast or whatever. Maybe your audience is like, we just want to see the cool fun reviews you do on retro games. Those can be different animals, and you got to listen to the audience, because if you're doing your podcast stuff and you're plopping it in on your channel and still doing the typical reviews and whatever, and those podcasts are not getting any views hardly, well, your audience is telling you that's not what they're interested in. At a certain point, now I'm not saying you bend the knee to the audience and do their will at all costs, though that can be actually really, letting your community be a part of your decision making can be a good thing, but at the end of the day, it's your YouTube channel, and you have to decide what's best for you as well as them, as the audience, the people who watch your stuff. So, and at the end of the day, that's totally up to you. But at the same time, you don't want to start a second channel. Like, I shouldn't start a second channel just to talk about Wii U or Analog Pocket or Steam Deck or anything else. It's like, just if you're a video game channel, talk about video games on your channel. It's okay to pivot and cultivate a new audience, because those audiences have so much overlap and you don't even realize it, because you don't necessarily know every interest of every member of your audience. You just kind of have to, try stuff. I'm not saying, you need to keep constantly throwing, spaghetti at the wall and hope it sticks. But at the same time, it's good to try things. So that's my little spiel on that. So let's get to my next piece of advice that I think is bad advice. Niche down to blow up. The problem with this piece of advice, yes, it's good to start somewhere. It's good to have a focus. You should definitely have a focus. You shouldn't just go, well, one day I'm going to make a video about VHS tapes, and the next day I'm going to make a video about G.I. Joe action figures, and the next day I'm going to make a video about Back to the Future, and the next day I'm going to make a video about, Forza Racing on Xbox. Have some type of focus to begin with, to, begin your journey on YouTube and to keep trying things. You see, the problem with the whole advice of niche down is no one tells you how far you should niche down. Yes, you should have a focus and you should start somewhere. You got to start somewhere. But you should not, feel like you are stuck where you are forever and ever. Like, you shouldn't feel like I can only talk about Wii U, because I started my channel talking about Wii U. You can expand. But you also have to take into effect that maybe your audience doesn't have the same interest, but that's okay because you're introducing your channel to more people in more different audiences. But you also should, again, continue to make content for the audience that is still watching your stuff. I mean, it's a fine line, and you have to be very careful and clear of how you walk it based on what you're doing because, yeah, the whole niche down to blow up thing, yeah, that will only take you so far. You don't, like, some people, like, I made a video and I pigeonholed my channel into a niche, and I haven't. And I think the results speak for themselves because when I've gone back to make more retro style stuff, that stuff still gets about as many views as like the Evercade stuff or the Wii U stuff. I'm a gaming channel. At the end of the day, that's what I am, is I'm a gaming channel. And there's people who have similar interests. So yeah, niche down to blow up is not very good advice. That's my personal opinion. I once had someone give me the advice to drop retro from my name. So originally this channel, when I started in 2013, was called PK's Retro Reviews, which is a huge mouthful, honestly. It's a lot. I mean, so is PK in the universe, but maybe not as much. I don't know. But I took the advice, and I changed the name of the channel to PK versus the World. And that lasted like a year or so, I think, and then I got tired of it, and it's funny too, like my grand finale of the channel, and I didn't know it was going to be the grand finale, was this 12 games a year series where I'd talk about 12 games that I was going to buy for all of 2020, and I was just buying one game per month kind of thing. And, explained how I still, in spite of not buying games, still kept getting more games, from other people and other situations. But yeah, the 12 games a year thing, that was the end of PK versus the World, and I rebranded the channel, and that's, when this channel really started. I talk about how I've been on YouTube for almost 10 years in April of 2023, and you know what? Really, I look back and realize and reflect on this channel that I didn't take it that seriously, honestly. I wasn't really all in on, making the best content I could make. I didn't really care. I just, wanted to upload stuff. I didn't care. I didn't really care, like, I was like, oh, I'm doing this for me crap, and it's like, yeah, I mean, we're all doing this for ourselves in some way, but we're not doing this only for ourselves. We want people to see what we have to say. We want to give people our thoughts. I'm not making these videos for an algorithm. I don't care. I don't care if the algorithm doesn't pick this up. I just have some thoughts and feelings. And I think that's another good piece of advice is making videos, even if you make videos for a specific audience, it's also really good, again, to experiment and make videos that are good for your own mental health. A video like this where I can get out all these thoughts and feelings I have is a very good thing, honestly, as far as I'm concerned. And I recommend any YouTuber, I don't know if you have to start a podcast necessarily, but making videos, where you give out your honest thoughts and feelings about what you want to say, beyond simply just, oh, this is a particular topic and discussion I want to have, So making a more loose fit discussion videos are a good thing. But the whole drop in retro thing is stupid. Honestly, that was dumb advice. And I can't believe I actually took that. I probably, if I had to do it all over again, yeah, I probably would have just maybe shortened the name to PK Retro or something, but I like PK in the universe. It suits me. I am just a guy in the universe. I'm just some random a-hole with a camera in the universe. I'm just a guy having fun, trying to make the best videos I can make for the people who enjoy this content. So yeah, I really like PK in the universe. But yeah, if I was gonna do it, like, I would not have dropped retro, because that's just nonsense that, oh, retro gaming has a ceiling. Every kind of YouTube channel has a ceiling. Every channel, but there's plenty of people who have absolutely defied the odds of, oh, retro. If you have retro in your name, you're not going to grow your channel. It's like, you got people like Retro Bird, who's got like 30,000 subscribers. The guy started in 2018, many years after I did, and he's doing great. And you know what the thing about Retro Bird is? That guy has not changed his content at all. Not like hardly at all in the last 4 years he's been making content, or 4 or 5 years he's been making content. And he's got good cadence, and his channel reminds me of how retro gaming channels used to be back in the day, but he does it so brilliantly, and he does it right. And then I think about Retro Rick. Retro Rick is a channel that, he'd started in like 2017. He kind of started to really take it seriously in the last how many years, and his channel is at 200,000 subscribers, and he does a lot of those game hunting videos and stuff, and they're really good and very well edited, and I think he's got some help. You can tell he's got some help from people. I don't know, but I don't think he's just doing this all on his own, but he's he's propelled his channel. You know, he made a YouTube channel with retro gaming content and clearly is doing quite well for himself. Yeah, and there's so many channels with the name retro in them that have, you know, gone on to have, you know, a successful channel. And success looks very different to different people. Some people think the only way to have a successful YouTube channel is if you can quit your job and make a living out of this. And I don't think that really, to me, is success. Success is when you're doing this and you're having a good time still doing it, and you keep doing it, and you're actually, you know, the ultimate goal, obviously, for a lot of people is to get monetized, which is an understandable goal because this is your work. You're putting your work out in the universe, and Google's actually making money off of it. So it'd be great to have a cut of that. Yeah, honestly, I totally understand why people would want to be monetized because you deserve a cut of it. You're working hard. You could be spending your time doing anything else, and you're doing this. And some people work harder than others, and some people don't see the stuff behind the scenes. They don't see the editing. They don't see any of that stuff, or all the time. You know, years ago, I remember I always use this example. I was in a college class, and I made a video about what do people love most about dogs. And I interviewed like 10, 15 people, and I walked around different neighborhoods in Chicago. And that took me, I probably spent 16 hours, you know, like traveling and going places. And technically speaking, I did get paid for that video because I was in the military, you know, so I had used the GI Bill or whatever to pay for my college, and they paid my housing allowance. So I actually used the GI Bill to pay my mortgage for like 4 years. So yeah, technically speaking, I got paid to go do that, but that video got like 16 views. 16 views, you know, and it just never did well, but that's okay because I enjoyed making the video. And it was a great experience in editing. It helped me further craft my skills in editing and, you know, doing interviews, getting confident, you know, doing interviews. So I felt good, you know, to like, you know, come up to strange random people. It was an experience that you just can't get by just sitting here in your basement and, you know, so I found a lot of value in it, even if it wasn't monetarily. It was more intrinsic value than anything. And you will find that, you know, that's the thing about making YouTube videos is you're still learning. You're always learning, and you need to keep learning because if you don't keep learning, eventually you just become stagnant and you get burned out, and then you don't want to do it anymore. So, and it's totally understandable to not want to keep doing it. If you've been doing it as long as I have, it's like, it's hard to stay motivated. So it's important to, you know, keep doing what you're doing. Another piece of advice I got was just make original content. Just make great original content. It doesn't matter. I mean, you can make absolute garbage content and still be successful on YouTube. YouTube is about more than just making good content. I've said this before and I'll say it again. The greatest videographer on YouTube is probably some person none of us have ever heard of. But the reason nobody ever sees their videos is because they don't know how to make thumbnails. They don't want to reach out to anybody to help them learn to make good thumbnails. They don't make, you know, so they don't make clickable thumbnails. They don't make very good titles. And they just don't know what they're doing beyond simply making a video. They might be a great video maker and shooter and editor, and then they just can't get any traction, so they quit. 90% of people quit YouTube. 90%. And literally 98% of all views are going to the 1% of YouTubers. Literally only 3% of all of YouTube is monetized. So that's like 3 million people on the entire platform are monetized channels. So if you're a non-monetized channel, do not feel bad about that because that's almost everybody. Almost everybody is a non-monetized channel. And if you are monetized, congratulations, you are part of the 3%. So, but you know, you just have to get to that hurdle. You have to get to that point to begin with. And it's tough. The easiest part is, you know, everybody's like, oh, you just got to get 1,000 subscribers. No, you got to get 4,000 hours of watch time. You don't get that watch time, you know, it doesn't matter if you, because I know people with like 3, 4, 5,000 subscribers who could just never get the watch time. So they just gave up. They just gave up because they didn't care to learn how to get to where they needed to go. And there's a lot of YouTube advice, a lot of gurus and stuff. And some of their advice is kind of really just practical stuff that, oh, when you think about, yeah, that makes. But also advice gets really outdated. Like I was talking about the niche down, blow up, you know, thing. Another piece of bad advice too, of course, is you need to upload frequently. You need to upload really frequently. You need to be uploading like every other day. It's like, really, you should be uploading maybe, I mean, you can upload maybe a couple videos a week. But if you're just constantly, You know, a lot of times I've had a lot of YouTubers where it's like I really enjoyed their content, but I could never keep up with it. So I just eventually just stopped watching it. And I think that happens. I think people get burned out about watching the same content creator. I don't think you should go 3 or 4 months without uploading and just expect to grow your channel or to grow your audience. You shouldn't expect that. No. But I also don't believe you should make you need a schedule. You have to adhere to a schedule because I think that can actually hurt your mental well-being sometimes. Yeah, it's good to, challenge yourself, but people can take this way too far. And for a lot of people, this is a hobby. I don't like the word hobby. Maybe it's a hobby business or a hobby future business. Maybe that might be a better phrase in term of word, but I never cared much the term hobby. I like to think of it as meaningful work that, gives me pride and satisfaction in doing, even if I'm not getting paid necessarily for it. I'm very close to being monetized, but I have not gotten there, and I will get there. It's like, I don't want to say it's inevitable, but I've been pretty persistent and I understand what it is I need to do and what I'm going to do to get to where to achieve my goals. And there's a lot of different things I've done, as far as improving my craft and, getting noticed on the on YouTube, and like there's a lot of different things I've done to help try to do my best to improve, and it's paid off. It's paid off in spades. I got more views and watch time in the last year than I did in the previous 8 or 9 years combined. So I feel like I'm making a lot of improvements to the channel and it's going really well. But yeah, it's like, so just make original content, good content. That's not enough. It never has been. Like I said, there's people who make total garbage content and can succeed on the platform. So, making good content and figuring out what it is that people want to click on are huge pluses. And that's the tricky part. So when somebody tells you, oh, just make good original content, eventually people will come. It's like, no, they won't. There has to be certain things that you need to do to get people to click on it to begin with. So that's bad advice. Screaming into the camera. I think it's important that you are passionate about what you're talking about. I think that is. I think people can see your passion. And if it's fake, eventually people are going to find you out. But the whole I need to scream into the camera. I need to scream and yell to the camera and, to get all freaking wild and animated. I think there's a middle ground. I really do. Because I think if you're always screaming into the camera, one, you're going to exhaust yourself if that's not your real personality and that's not your real who you are. And eventually also thinking about the audience you're curating. I mean, do I want to curate an audience that needs to be entertained every 3 seconds? That has to be kind of just blown away by big visuals and stuff like that. Is that the audience I want to curate? And I think it's important to know who you are and the audience you want to attract. So if that's the kind of audience you want to attract, is people who have to be constantly entertained every few seconds. Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of audience you will get. That's the thing, is we don't talk nearly enough about this as creators, is that we curate our audience. How we interact, the subjects we cover, how we behave. And this brings me to the final point. This is the most interesting one, I think, of all these. This is the one that is that you need to make drama videos to succeed in the retro gaming space. I've literally seen people give this advice. You need to make drama videos to get more attention on your other stuff. That is terrible, awful advice. And here's why. Yes, a little drama will get some people to your channel. Absolutely. But the problem is they're going to want more drama and more drama and more and more and more. And eventually, that's the audience you've cultivated. You've cultivated an audience that is only interested in blood. That's what you've cultivated. Now, I'm not saying those people don't have an interest in gaming too, but at the end of the day, you're going to attract those kind of people, the people who just want nothing but drama. And I used to kind of like it a little bit, but now I've just, the older I get, the more and more I just get disgusted by it, and some people like to use the Desperate Housewives excuse. It's all just a game. It's all staged or whatever. Yeah. Desperate Housewives is staged, but that is not reality. This is I don't really want to make that kind of nutty crap or whatever. I don't want to attract those sort of people to my channel, honestly. Yeah. Talk about what you're passionate about and to actually make good thumbnails, make clickable titles, do keyword research. That will help you cultivate the right audience, because the drama people, because here's the thing, you're constantly doing drama. Maybe you're calling out other YouTubers constantly and stuff. yeah, that will get some interest. But the problem is, eventually, if you stop doing that and you just try to focus on retro gaming again, those people aren't coming. And you've just ruined your whole channel with drama stuff. Yeah, you should not make your channel about drama. You should make your channel about what you want. In my case, I talk about retro games. It's what I've always talked about on this channel. Now, you can pivot to other stuff. You can pivot to other gaming related stuff, sure. Maybe even movies. You can probably get away with pivoting to movies because it's media at the end of the day. But these people who just say, I'm going to make drama videos, it's like you're ruining and destroying your channel by doing that, doing drama stuff, because at the end of the day, you're going to get sick of drama because it's disgusting. It's like Little Caesars pizza. Sure, it's okay to eat some disgusting Little Caesars pizza once in a while. I love to, especially when my wife goes out of town. That's like my guilty pleasure. I want to eat some Little Caesars pizza and watch Power Rangers or whatever, But I do not want to do it every day or every week or maybe even every month. Eventually, it will make you sick. And that's what drama videos do. They literally screw with your brain. And they make you think this is totally normal. And it's not. It's garbage, honestly. If you're a retro gaming channel, focus on retro gaming. That doesn't mean you can't focus on other things in the gaming space. But these people who are like, I'm just going to make some drama videos just to get more eyes on my videos, don't do it. It's a waste of your time. And it's going to destroy your channel. That's just my opinion. That's my opinion because I've seen other people do it, and it just makes me freaking sad, honestly. Anyways, yeah, I really just want to make this video because I don't think it's a video that's going to get a lot of views. I don't think it's going to get a lot of attention. But I want to do it for my own mental well-being, and you should do that too sometimes. You should make videos for your own mental well-being. Maybe your channel is focused strictly on retro games and stuff, but sometimes it's good to make a video just for yourself or to give out advice and things that you're thinking about that maybe, that you can still intertwine with the whole retro gaming scene, but that is also about you and your experience in this whole space that is YouTube. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to make a video just like this video. So anyways, what are your guys' thoughts? Have you seen this advice before? Has some of this advice actually worked for you or not worked for you? Comment below. Love to hear what you have to say. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching and stay awesome in this universe. Thanks. Bye.